I did a piece for the paper this morning, sort of talking about what will he think was good, what will he think was bad about the squad, and what will he think is needed. I mean, for me, I think you'll look at there's certain figures there that are coming, have stepped up a wee bit. I think you've seen it. Obviously, Raskin gets his goal at the weekend. I think the fans are entirely right to be hugely disappointed with him this season, especially when they went out their way to back him and that sort of standoff with Russell Martin. I think they would be expecting a lot more from him, but I thought you saw certainly a step or one or two levels at Dens for a spell, especially that first half. I think Jack Butland has been a welcome return to form after his difficulties last season. I think James Tavernier has been a more assertive captain I think we've ever seen him in his time at Rangers, whether it be his comments after the park, off the park. I remember speaking to him in the mix zone after the Brand game where he labelled the performance a disgrace. I'd never heard him speak that forcefully before, and I think even in the defeat to Celtic at Hampden with 2 to 10 men, it's the most I've ever seen him try and grab a game by the scruff of the neck and drive his team on and put on a real captain's performance. He's always been a guy that led by example, but just with his quality, I actually think you saw him trying to step into a game and impose himself. So I think those are the sort of things that will encourage Danny Rohl. I think the obvious things is there's so many glaring gaping holes in the squad. Left back, they need a centre back, they need some sort of midfield enforcer, and they definitely need a striker. So I mean, what do you think will be the sort of things that he'll be telling the board as he assesses his first 3 weeks in the job?
Well, I think the key thing, let's not beat about the bush. Danny Rohl will have made his mind up on certain players already. I think he's only been in just over 3 weeks, but he said he told us that's what he needs. He needs 3 weeks to kind of assess a squad, and well, it's going to be really interesting that this report, in terms of what he hands to the board, or certainly hands to the sporting director Kevin Thelwell, because you have to imagine that there will be things in it that might not get into well in terms of summer signings that just haven't worked out. You think of somebody just off the top of my head, I think of somebody like Joe Rothwell, for instance, who I know he's missed the last couple of games, I think, through illness, but it just hasn't happened for him up here. Now he's on a decent contract, he's an experienced player, but it certainly looks for the first few weeks of Danny Rohl's tenure that he's not going to have a big part to play. So in this report, does it detail why Joe Rothwell's not going to be part of it? And is there a suggestion for what they try and do with him? Did they try and offload him? Did they try and get him out on loan? So I think there'll be loads of things like that and just flipping it. And I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this. But I think if Danny Rohl's putting a report together, as he is, having looked at this squad for 3 weeks, I'm pretty certain he will say in that James Tavernier and John Souttar are two guys that he wants to keep around the place. Now, listen, fans can agree or disagree with that, but they have been key players for him. They've played nearly every game. He's relied on them. Both of them are out of contract. Souttar's a Scotland international. Tavernier's the captain. I don't know for certain. Obviously, I'm only surmising, but I think there's a pretty good chance that within that, Danny Rohl will be saying these are two guys I want to keep around at the club, and therefore, the board or the sporting director will need to act on that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you agree with that?
Listen, I think the suggestion that the two of them will be offered new deals will divide the fan base on the basis that they both made mistakes this season. But I think you can always argue that the both of them, had it not been for the two of those guys at times this season, this would be and I'll throw Jack Butland into that picture as well, that this could be even bleaker without the performances of those two guys. And I think Souttar especially has been put under some real. I know he was at fault for the second goal against last week at Roma. Just split second took his eye off the big Ukrainian boy up front for Roma. But I think there's been so many times where he was put in really difficult positions with Russell Martin wanting to play out, and he was left exposed, and he wasn't helped by the guys around him. I think Giga at times has been an absolute bomb scare. I think the guys in midfield have been, whether it be Raskin, I think just vacating the spaces it should have been at times, chasing after
protection. Not enough protection.
Or just the fact that the setup under Russell Martin was just ridiculous at times, where they were so wide open and it left the back four looking silly at times. But I think the way his commitment, his ability to scramble, and I thought last season, John Souttar, especially in Europe, was magnificent. So I get, he has a mistake in him now and again. I don't think the level of Rangers spending power you're going to get centre backs aren't going to have a mistake in them. I think that's just where Rangers are in the pecking, the food chain.